Welcome to Rise with AI, the podcast that spotlights trailblazers in e-learning and professional training, helping you reach new heights, create impact, scale your vision, and empower others. Today, we are thrilled to have Sharon Foong, co-founder of Aquaplant Culture International, a company revolutionizing the aquarium industry through education and innovation, operating across Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Australia. Sharon and her team are transforming how hobbyists and professionals engage with aquariums. With a 400% sales increase in just 2 years and educated over 2,000 students in 4 years. Sharon, let's dive in. What inspired you to co-found Aquaplant Culture and focus on education in this niche industry?
Hi, I'm really happy to be here. And just before we want to start, I want to have a small shout out to my fellow founders, Theo and Desmond, and they have been really essential to my journey. So, how did Aquaplant Culture come about? We actually have our own various experiences within the aquarium industry as well as the different planted tank industries. And we felt that there was a disconnect between storefronts and customers, or nowadays we call them students. And so our company hopes to bring the level of aquarium keeping and the standards up, not just in Singapore, but around the world. And we feel that by providing education to the customer, that they will then be able to appreciate the full range of the hobby, that they will also be able to elevate the status of the hobby in their various countries. And we also help our various partners and storefronts and distributors to grow their industry in their hobby as well. Because one of the experiences that we have is that usually at the store level, at the buying level, there is hardly any time for education. However, if we are a separate education entity, then we can take our time, take our effort and energy to really implement education into the hobby. And then with I would say even with the level of education, even just free education, then everybody has access to the hobby and that hobby becomes less mystified, and it also is a more sustainable way to continue the aquarium hobby.
Wonderful. And I understand that you actually had a social media marketing background. How has this actually helped to shift and also expand this mission?
So yes, I do have a social media background. I was in charge of social media for a few brands for a good number of years, and I do have an events background as well. How this has helped Aquapunk Culture in that we are, I would say, almost 80% completely online. We do pride ourselves in being very available in the online sphere, be it through product sourcing, be it through communication with various international partners constantly, even through to our students and to the general public. Our entire, I would say, focus of the company is being very accessible, and therefore being online is something that is also new to the aquarium industry. There are various hobbies and there are lots of brands who are simply marketing, but marketing via education and via just educating the general public is something that is also new. So I would say Aquaplant Culture is doing something new in that, using our online presence, using various partners and engaging with customers directly online and not having a physical storefront in Singapore. I would say that is something that is new within Asia Pac as well.
And your vision is to actually elevate the global awareness of aquarium community through education. Can you actually share a moment where you actually saw your courses and education actually make a tangible impact on a student or a partner?
So for us, we do outreach at expos. So we are invited to do expos in various countries. I would say the one that immediately comes to mind is our most recent expo called Critter Carnival in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. So this is our second year. We've been with them the previous year. So this year we actually had a contest expanded. Previously, it was just Malaysian participants. Now it was Malaysian Singaporean participants, and the number of participants actually doubled. And so what we felt was that it was a good international crossover of skill sets where both the shop staff, private hobbyists, and our students managed to interact in a very positive manner through this contest to sort of have a good skills exchange and to kind of see what each other countries were doing within the aquarium industry and how it was very, very different, especially for our Singaporean students and guests. Because the aquarium industry, I would say, in Singapore is much limited to the type of stuff we can keep. I would say rules are different in different countries, and therefore it affects the sales or the availability of product or even just the livestock available. And as such, it's always very interesting to see how different countries interact with the same hobby because sometimes product is more easily available, whereas sometimes skill set makes up for the lack of product. So I would say that it was very, very interesting. And then we were very happy to see that some of our students who were quite new in the hobby, they were managed to be very confident to even join the contest. And I think the most important is that everybody had a great time and had a great time interacting with each other. I think that itself was a sort of a positive experience for us, that yes, the education helps to elevate this process and to speed up this process so that it brings even beginners to introduction to a global stage at a much faster level rather than, self-exploration.
What's actually one aquarium myth or assumption that you wish more people knew, and that was totally wrong?
I think one myth is that joining the aquarium hobby is very, very expensive. Simply because sometimes you see very complicated setups online, or you see lots of hobbies owning lots of different things, and that myth always prevents people from going out and trying. But we want to let people know that actually sometimes just starting out within your means, starting with what you can, is the best way forward. Obviously, we would love to see you have this kind of fancy tank like the one behind me. But if you can only afford a small desktop setup, then how do we make the best of it? How do we ensure that you have a good experience even with that first setup, so that you can be confident and go on to creating bigger and better things, and then make it more worthwhile for your expenditure within the hobby as well? Because if you don't have the information to use all this fancy equipment, then it's only going to be a hindrance to your hobby. Yes, it helps, but you have to know and learn how to use it in the correct way as well. So I think, yes, the myth that the aquarium hobby is expensive, yes, it costs stuff like any other hobby, but it also requires you to put effort and time into it, just like any other hobby, for it to be really successful. And so I would say, don't let cost be a mental barrier to enter the hobby.
That approach, because there are just so a wide variety. I think that is just another world for this. The students can always choose where they want to start with and then gradually grow from there. So I would also love to touch on, because I remember the last conversation we had, we were saying, oh, this is a male dominated industry, but you as a female leader, what unique perspective do you actually bring, and how does that actually influence your mission to educate hobbies and also professionals?
Yes, I think, yes, I have to agree. The last time we spoke, I mentioned that it is a largely male-dominated industry. It sort of rings through when you visit storefronts, especially, and you see a lot more male shopfront owners. I would say I'm happy to say that in my experience, that this is shifting simply because on the side of the hobby aquascaping, when you're working with art and design and plants, that there are more and more female entrants into the hobby. And what we want to do is to provide them a safe space to speak about their experiences, and move to a hobby where having both equal experiences, and we want to celebrate even differences between men and women in creating designs, because we have to accept that design elements are different on both sides and that there is beauty on both sides. One of the ways that we do is that we hope through education, or we have seen through education, that it is a little bit more accessible, because when you enter a class, then all of you are equal. There are no, better players on the field, so to say. So having educating female and male students in the same class helps to normalize that, yes, female entrants into the hobby, they have different opinions, they prefer different stuff, they perhaps are attracted to more color, but that is fine, and there is a place and time in this hobby for that as well. And we do see also a rise of like people who compete as well, on this aspect of the hobby, not just to fish keep. So that is something that we always find very, very successful. I would say actually, not just me, even my male founders, especially Teo. So he has over 30 over years industry experience. He himself also felt that through teaching his classes that yes, there are more and more female learners, and then obviously being male, he was uh, wondering how to engage them better. And so actually that's how he reached out to me in the first place. And then we sort of started this collaborative effort together. So I'll say that it's all in the good direction. More and more brands are also realizing that ladies are also entering this hobby. And so I would say that the hobby in general is becoming a more equalized hobby. But yes, I think sometimes for even me personally, when I first entered the hobby, it felt very male dominated because all the people I was talking to seemed to be male and much older than I am. But I would say that it has changed. It's still
Yeah.
changing, and so we are hoping to be part of that change as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, as female leader that is coming into this space and also contributing to the global mission and to elevate the awareness of this industry, I'm sure a lot of people, actually, no matter what gender or background, everyone has an equal chance to actually have a part in this shared hobby. So yeah, just so amazing, and I'm always so in awe to actually hear these stories. Leads me to my next question. What are the biggest trends you're actually seeing in the aquarium industry, and also how you plan to position aquaplant culture to lead in this space?
I think one of the bigger trends, I would say, yes, it's the use of more online tools and platforms to reach out to consumers more than ever before. I think with the rise of like video-based marketing as well, TikTok, Xiaohongshu, even Meta or like other Instagram-based marketing, it's where the new younger generation of, I would say, even as an educator, learners, they want to be there. They want to learn from those aspects. So gone are the days where they're just satisfied with pictures. So now they want to know the process, they want to know how you get there, and most of all, they want a lot more information, and all they are more educated in the sense that they have seen what goes in other countries. So they are more globalized audience, I would say. So how does this work for Aquaplant Culture? In that we are quite happy to say that we find ourselves very adaptable to this globalized audience. We want to reach out to them. We ourselves are part of this audience. We also are on the platforms. We consume the videos that they consume. So I would say that online is a trend. I would say that one of the trends also is better equipment. I would say that definitely the equipment and the technology we have now far supersedes what we had when I started the hobby or when Theo started the hobby. And so actually it's a good thing for learners and consumers because with a more globalized producing and buying culture, right? And a lot of this stuff has become a little bit more affordable. Some of it, the price has dropped far less because it's produced at a much larger scale, right? Due to demand. And so with you're always seeing new information on the internet, which means people are always producing new products. So it is with great hope that all these products do help us in our hobby journey, which is great. And so that it offers us more and more new things to educate to our students, to our graduates, and to our customers. I think the last trend that I would state is that yes, I see a younger generation of hobbies also looking towards gig-based self-employment. I would say that they are looking to either do maintenance or sell some product or to even offer the skill set. I would say that the aquarium hobby had a lull for a period of time, I think in Singapore as well, but it is facing a resurgence, especially after COVID, where nature and having home decor is placed on a higher priority now, or it's seen as something
Yeah.
that's more attractive as a hobby. So there's sort of a resurgence, and then there is an age of like very senior aquarium keepers, and now we are seeing a very big entry group of younger aquarium keepers. So that is something that I always feel that is very exciting because with a younger, more globalized, more interactive group of learners, then we get to, interact them with a new level of knowledge, and we get to bring them into the hobby to combine, like sometimes we call them like, very senior wisdom and new technology. Yes. It's just good because I feel that even if it sounds mystical, that there must be a precedent or reason for why
Yeah.
some of the myths of the industry happen, right? And so how do we go about consulting those myths with science or consulting those myths with like practices you see them do? So I believe there to be reasons, and it's just that we may not have had the technology to explore those reasons. So now we can offer that to the younger learners who are looking to continue this hobby.
Yeah, your online presence is definitely significant. Would love to also hear how you guys actually crafted your marketing to resonate with different audiences across different regions and languages.
So I think we have mentioned that we're in multiple countries, and a lot of those are Asian-based countries, with the exception of Australia. What is good for us is that being in Asia ourselves, we understand how Asian marketing works. For B2B marketing, we are very personable. We have direct relationship with our partners and clients. We constantly grow those relationships. I would say those are very important to us, because it's not just growing us. We need to grow them as a brand in themselves. We need to make sure that they are on the same level playing field with the rest of the world. And I would say every partner we meet, right, they have their own strong points. And what we want to do is to build up the points where they need us. For example, if we are working with Myanmar, there's our latest distributor. We just announced them this week. I would say that Myanmar does have the potential to be a very huge industry. What they lack of is support from outside sources. So they're also very hungry from education from the rest of the world. So what we want to do is provide them with that reach to the international community and vice versa through a very safe platform, which is a hobby-based platform. And then for something like Malaysia versus Singapore cross-national interaction, I would say that while Singapore does probably have access to more product, we do not have the skill set somewhat. So we want to educate and bring both sides to a higher level, even by offering education on both ends in multiple languages. And that's just B2B. On B2C end, we adapt our language if needed. We always work with a local partner to sort of be very mindful of the local culture and customs of, like, even just in educational customs, like the style of educating, whether the duration, the workshop, the media or method of disseminating information, as well as like the custom of, like, maybe you have certain aquarium practices we need to be aware of. Or definitely we always recognize that aquarium hobby is a very, very old hobby. It's not something that is new. And so there will be people who are very established in the hobby in these countries. Our goal is not to challenge these people, but to actually engage them and to sort of like rally the hobby together, because only then presenting a little bit more of a united front would be a great thing for new hobbies to be attracted to the hobby, right? And then you only go to the hobby when the hobby is like exciting and welcoming. And so that is our main effort. And being a very lean team, we also are very adaptable in our marketing. So I would say a lean team is because currently we do not have any HR, which is not to say HR is bad, but we do rely on our own internal negotiation and communication to really like bring forward every project, and which this like constant communication that makes the project very adaptable. So social media marketing can be rolled out really quickly. We can do online marketing. We can do video marketing with very simple and basic online tools. And these tools can be done from any country. So while we are traveling with our partners, we do have a small team in Singapore. We do have a small team overseas that helps to bring these processes forward. Yeah, I would say that's how we have remained very adaptable to the whole climate.
Amazing. Yeah, with a lean team and also a global presence, I think it's no small feat that you can also expand so quickly. And so can you touch a little bit more on any of the tools and also maybe some systems that you have been critical for your
Okay, so I think we must have a little bit of acknowledgement to Canva. I think a lot of teams, especially social media marketing, are on Canva these days. So definitely we are on Canva, and Canva being with its little tips and tricks and its lots of its apps, it's really good for us to just roll out multiple formats in very quick succession to produce quite, I would say, better quality than what we previously had when we relied on Photoshop, right? Because Photoshop requires a very individual, personalized process. Whereas Canva, we can, with templating, we can sort of roll out very easy cross-national marketing as well. I saw Canva as one of the stuff we use quite often. Another one would be CapCut, because I said a lot of this marketing has moved to video marketing, and so I would have to use the easiest platform that is international as well. I would say CapCut has done a very good job in that. So we use a lot of CapCut as well, especially for TikTok marketing and our Instagram-based marketing. We do use Meta a bit, as Meta seems to be still the official platform for a lot of official information dissemination. So we do use Meta in our ground base of marketing, where Facebook, Instagram is still seen as a official source of information from a lot of these businesses and from our partners as well. I would say ChatGPT does come into play a little bit, in which we use it to sort of structure but the content is still created with the human front, so that we use it to just maybe do calendar creation, to help out in certain hashtag creation, and to do trend identification. However, all the content is still created in a personable way to ensure that it's still relevant. And then sometimes we have international content, so those are consulted with our partners. I think the last tool is that we also use our own internal CMS to kind of like keep everything on track. So we're back on teamwork, and that itself is a good way to keep all these international projects on tap, on like in very clear defined lines, so that the different roles and different aspects of the projects get covered in a very timely manner. So those are some of the, I would say, AI assisted tools that we use to really help us keep on track with everything that we have going on.
Yeah, I think right now AI can really help to formulate a lot of different ideas that we have, or just come up with a better structure. So very interesting that you also mentioned Canva, because I've been using Canva for myself. So you mentioned, I think also we understand that you had a 400% sales growth in 2 years. Would love to hear from you. What are the key strategies, or you can just name a few that actually work well for you guys?
So as mentioned, we do not have a physical store in Singapore, and by 400%, it's just the B2C sales we have in Singapore. I'm not so clear on the B2B numbers, but we do have a greater increase, naturally expanding to many more countries. So how we achieve this without a physical storefront? Firstly, be using education as a means of educating the consumer. We are not a traditional sales model. We are not asking stores to stock our products, and therefore relying on stores to use consignment or to use their own sales staff to sell our products. However, we are going directly to, I would say, to the educated consumer this time, because we have already, done our hopefully good job of educating them, and so they understand what all the different products are. And we hope that they continue to support us. And we are using Shopee and Lazada, or various online platforms, to actually make our products accessible directly to the consumer. So we cut out the middleman, I would say. We cut out the storefront rental, so everything is a little bit more affordable as well. So we are a little bit more on the competitive side with even overseas product, and then we make sure to like constantly highlight certain products depending on the growth of the industry. So when the industry was a lot more in the beginning, then we have beginner level products, and now that our students have reached a level where they are a little bit more adventurous, then we have a bit more advanced products. I would say CO2 canisters is something that we are releasing very, very soon, because a lot more of our students are going into this realm of the aquarium hobby. So I would say moving with that and being a bit more conscious in the product we take in. So as hobbyists ourselves, we use our own products. So how these products came to be was because we either couldn't find the product ourselves, therefore we developed it with a good partner, or we found that this product was good to use, and so we sort of refined it and repackaged it, and then we use education to kind of like market it to the masses, I would say. So it is one of the, I would say, the good results of educating. So because if you don't educate the customer, then they would only know, okay, they will only be able to judge by price. When you go and see like everything you have on Shopee, like how do I know which is the good one, right? If all the pictures look the same. So I'm gonna go with like not the cheapest, but not the most expensive, something that feels good to me. But let's say within these pictures, I have like the explanation on how to use it. I have videos. If I really don't know, I have a store I can ask online. The store is based in a place where I feel like it's safe. And not only that, they offer education, and then these products are being used in their classes over many years. Then I would say this product is a good and tried and tested product, and no students are complaining. So that would be a good sign that our products are actually very reliable to the market. And then we slowly roll out at a very sustainable pace for the rest of the market and to the pace of our learners. So we do not have product bloat. So we don't have like a whole Amazon of 100 over products, but we're slowly increasing based on what the industry needs or the customer needs actually. So we actually, I would say we as a customer ourselves don't want to be bombarded with constant sales. So that is something that's very relatable. We just want to hopefully through educating that yes, the product works for you because it works for me. I think that is the base of how the sales has increased. That as we do more and more classes, there are more and more people using our products. And then we hope that through word of mouth, through social media marketing, that is also doing its job in maintaining its like growth as a sustainable, I would say, more affordable option than opening a storefront and a gallery in these days. Yeah.
Wow, so much to unpack here, and yeah, it makes sense that you guys are actually your first testimonials, and you are also, I would say, a role model for the rest of the people. They are use their own product. So when we touch on education, right? So you mentioned that a big piece, right, is about educating. I'm wondering what is the toughest hurdle in scaling your educational programs, and also how you're actually addressing it to ensure continued growth.
I think the largest hurdle is actually, I would say creating the classes are easy and getting people to attend the classes are easy, but the largest hurdle would be to engage the learner during class. How do we bring something that is typically an individual hobby and make it into a community-based discussion? So, the previous, I would say a large part of the aquarium hobby is very individualistic. You set up the stuff yourself, you maintain everything yourself, and only when you have certain issues do you reach out, right? That is how the hobby used to be. But nowadays we want to share, and then there's more platforms for visual format sharing. For example, Instagram and Facebook makes it easy to share photos, TikTok makes it easy to share videos. And so now hobbies want something that's also easier for them to engage with other hobbies. I would say that in integrating discussion, integrating terminology and stuff, rather than like, oh, you just follow me and do these steps and then you'll be able to catch it. But it's not that kind of class. It's the kind of class that gives you enough vocab to go to an online platform and then understand the items they are discussing as well. And it also helps you to like, we have students who are like, oh, I've tried this hobby and I left because I didn't have a good experience. So how do we then, reset this experience and then make it into something that is positive, not just for the fish side of the hobby, but to the plant side, because aquatic plants are a little bit notorious within the hobby of always dying. And so they may or may not be very affordable in the different countries they're going to, because not everything is as affordable as Singapore, I would say. Especially for Australia, these plants are quite expensive. They require a lot more intensity to grow and to ship and to market. And so how do you then not waste your money? I think that is the most honest way to tell the consumer, like, okay, we were trying to teach you all these tips and tricks, the science-based strategy, so that you have a value for money experience, because at the end of the day, you are a buyer and a consumer. And then how then can you go and then share this good experience with the rest of the community or even just the rest of your classmates? So we have a Telegram group on Facebook group where people share their process, whereas if they're a beginner, how they grow along, even the mistakes they make or some of the problems they face, because every hobby you have to kind of discuss what you're going through, I think, to really cement your learning as well. I would say the aquarium hobby, like any hobby, will have issues. That's part of the growth process. Nothing in life is smooth sailing. But with support, with community support, with professional guided support, then you can sort of like increase your skill level and increase your confidence as you also problem solve your way through the hobby. Yeah, so I would say that those aspects are I would say the more challenging part, the constant support. But it's also the most interactive and the most engaging part of, I would say, this whole experience, which is what gives us a lot of joy when we see people understand the concepts, we see them succeed at their problem solving. I think that itself is a very satisfactory experience. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, having a community to actually just support each other and learn from each other. And knowing when tough time happen, you're not alone. I think that's also important when you're just starting out a hobby. And so for APCI, what are the primary goals in the next 3 years?
So our next 3 years actually is to release a series of high-level education courses. Currently in Singapore, I would say that we are doing a good job of releasing a beginner focused courses. Now we're going to look at growing the level of the hobby. So I would say intermediate. Eventually, we want to increase up something that is able to guide you from a beginner to somebody that can work within the industry. So what does work look like? It looks like either doing maintenance, doing education, or even just doing import-export of product, or whichever. In these days, you can even just do social media marketing for all these brands that you are currently using as a hobbyist. So to reach there, obviously, you need to have certain skill sets to achieve something from basic to something a bit more complicated, like what you see in the photo. So that's, I think, what we are looking at in 2-3 years. We are looking to maybe expand a little bit more as well around Asia Pac. Growing the Australian industry is something that we also want to focus on. We're going to release the online education as well soon, and we're hoping to release more and more of our products into Australia to just kind of make everything a little bit more accessible to the rest of the industry as well. So yeah, I think the next 3 years for Aquaplant Culture will be quite exciting, seeing as we already have these many countries. I don't know where else we will go, but it is a very exciting journey for us.
With this, like the unknown, but there's just so much possibilities. Amazing. When you touch about the Australia program, is that the asynchronous program?
Yes, we are releasing a fully online asynchronous program. It's 80% self-guided, but there will also be an aspect where we will have a forum where you can ask questions. There will be an aspect where we will require to see some of your physical work before you get certification. So I think those aspects we are currently in development with our Australian partner to sort of see how it fits the Australian climate as well. We want to be mindful that obviously Australia is a very big country, and so we want it to be easy accessible, to at least have a basic foundation, and then to roll it out with the local partners we have there to be mindful of, like, okay, how does the typical Australian hobbyist experience go through? And then we want to like add on to that experience. We don't want to challenge that experience. We want to make it a bit more rewarding to go through that starting a new hobby kind of experience. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Sharon, I think that's all I have for the questions about yourself and the business. Now I have 3 rapid questions personally for you. Okay, so when you're ready, first question, what's your go-to tool for managing your global operations?
I still use WhatsApp every day. So WhatsApp is my essential. Yes, I cannot not use WhatsApp. Yeah, messaging, video call.
Yeah. What's your favorite creature in the aquarium that most people overlooked?
I still have a very, very soft spot for betas, fighting fish. I think they're called fighting fish here. Yeah, so I still have a very, very soft spot. They're one of the first few fish I have successfully bred, and they're so interactive, and I've seen like many trends come and go. But at the very heart of it, they are very interactive, inquisitive fish, and there's so many myths about them, especially about how you should keep them. And I currently own only one. I used to own so many because due to space constraint. But I hope to see that. Well, I'm glad to see that they're making a comeback actually.
And last question: what's one piece of advice to someone starting a business in a niche industry like aquariums?
I would say just to go and try, and to ask all the questions as you try. I think one of the personal experiences I have is I must be very thankful that my founders and my partners are very, very willing to share. And there's a lot of cost back from sharing. I educate them on the, I would say, social media aspects and the internet aspects of this company. As they educate me on the, I would say, try and true aspects of like purchasing, of industry knowledge that I would have had so much more trouble with had I not had such good mentorship. So I think would be to go forward and try while you have the resources and opportunities to actually keep a level head and to ask as many questions as you can, because if you don't ask questions, then you don't know what do the people around you know, right? And then you learn as much as you can from these questions and these answers that you have.
So always be curious.
Yes, again, always be curious and always be listening, because you never know when like a good piece of advice or wisdom is going to come from.
So that's all for today's episode of Rise with AI. Sharon, where can people find you online?
So we are on Facebook and Instagram. You can just look us up, Aquaplant Culture International. We are also on TikTok as well under the same name, Aquaplant Culture. And we have our website at www.aquaplantculture.com. So I hope to see you there.
Awesome. A huge thank you to Sharon Foong for sharing her incredible insights on transforming the aquarium industry through education. So listeners, if this episode inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more conversations with leaders in e-learning and professional training. Until next time, keep reaching, impacting, scaling, and empowering. See you soon. Bye.